This is Boadu TV. Truth and integrity.
Ghana for yama nyina akwa ban famra Boadu TV si eda se na se won subscribe ya na wa subscribe my channel na yekọ enim yenti si Koku Ayidoho na kache kakra wone Paul adomo kire di nkomo 101 ama nsem bebre na fimu aba Koku kire se wo hye na bra boase ya wo kire ko hye na bra boase be mo politics mu professor Atta Mills wonya ne bebi ko ye o kwan afa so de bedi na chi ni wuomu ne echi nsema ba manfo ne nam social media so no didi na tem ena wasi sa o mu didi na tem manfo nyeska wo mu wase o mutimi didi atema na mo de comment na wa comment no no da ko o me ko didi Koku atemu o ma comment say yo na etua mo kana e mom sika nsa no mutimi edidi no so mo dem ko so o mo ni matem sa na mo nyeska mfa ne di because we hu se mo ndi na tem nya mo nyeska mfa ne di mo nsem bebre Koku na secret ahudu bia we yiyidi egu abra wo hia Paul adomo kire no ana odin ebusua mekase meka wanhwa meje na enuma asem nyina kade amano na yasika ko ejin Koku anum yenko Koku Ayidoho na ono akasa nkire nsem mu professor ewechi de one NDC fo abeto omuntemu ntia dia so onim ntia NDC fo tata no so NDC fo nso ni bibi nti na ono so tata o ma yenko ti ono akasa na nsem be wone Paul adomo kire edin komo Metro TV so
I walk a certain political path and journey, and I do it with passion. I won't claim piety, but with a high level of remembrance. And so my whole political journey is not to walk in political immorality.
Political immorality?
Yeah, and political perfidy, where the whole attempt is to keep the majority in the dark and a few people can gloat in contrived and fake glory, and when they have, then they throw out at the people and they think that is politics. No. Mine is to continue to walk a certain path that will throw light in the dark areas so that we don't get back to those days, because there's those things that happened were momentous, they were earth moving. And so my affiliation to Rawlings is personal. As a young boy, I liked the action. And one thing I also remember, that the heart he had during those heady days, still standing on top of Kotoka Primary School, and it's in the book. I saw Rawlings carrying the casket of one of his fallen colleagues. Must have been one Major Collison.
Oh, the Recce man.
The Recce man, exactly. Yeah. So Collison was not meant, he was not a target.
No, he wasn't.
But the bullets hit him, dying in battle. And for Rawlings to carry the casket, and we stood up there, and we saw, so from the traffic light in front of Kotoka, Gaffey, Kingsway.
Well, they were going to Bema Hall.
Exactly, to go and pay last respect. This was this young flight lieutenant. In spite of all the was ready to carry the casket of a fallen colleague. I will never forget that. So, throughout that 11-year period of PNDC and the KEDA movement and whatever was going on, the PDC, the WDC, we had our own versions of it. And that is how I walked into this thing called politics. Fast forward, then in Legon, as a young graduate, 1990, 91, 92. Go and ask my colleagues. We also fought another battle for the re-establishment of democratic governance. And some of us were in the forefront of that struggle. I remember one of our very dangerous aluters. We won't go for lectures and we were fighting the system, burning tires. Peter Nafuri was then the IGP. I think we had overshot the runway. We had overdone it. So it was time to show us some power, state power. And they unleashed the police on us. I got whipped well.
On campus or at the demonstration?
And just no,
Police
they came into that. Yeah, that was when this Vida.
Oh, a chronicle story. I remember
Good.
that. Yeah.
Vida something.
IPS.
IPS.
Yeah, I remember.
Which is now UPSA.
Yeah. Kofi Kumsin went in to take pictures of
Good.
her.
And she got hit by a stray bullet.
Yeah.
And that was what made Hawa Yakubu
very popular.
Very popular.
That's correct.
Because then Kwame Jewuchem, because it was a one-sided parliament in 92, because the NPP had boycotted parliament. So Kwame Jewuchem, who was one of the NDC parliamentarians, a prominent writer at the Ghanaian Times at that time, but he had now drifted into politics, made some remark on the floor of parliament that didn't sit well with Hawa Yakubu, who had come as the only independent MP at the time. And when Hawa stood and spoke, I think it's the same Kofi Kumsin Chronicle, who named her Iron Lady. And that's how Hawa Yakubu became the Iron Lady of Ghana politics. So Paul, my passion, driven from birth, my early socialization in Burma camp, then my student activism days. And in our days, we didn't have Tain and Tescon like you guys came to enjoy later. So it was just us, raw energy, fighting the military system. And I remember today Nanado, Malik Alassane Yakubu, the late, he was then the MPP youth organizer or something. Nanado, they will come, either Legon Hall, Ekwafu Hall, or E9. On top of the...
We came to hear the E9 story.
On top of the bookshop.
Yeah, we came
Good.
to hear that.
We used to meet there and take decisions.
So we were mobilizing students.
And we were leading it. And we'll get some lecturers who will call you in the middle of the night. Charlie, Koku, take it easy. Koku, don't do this. You people, be careful of this military regime. But hey, Paul, one has to brave it out one way or the other. The first major demo into town, I mooted the idea. It was a meeting at Legon Hall, dining hall. If you ask YB, Yabuabin and Co, Yabuabin was a year behind us. But at that gathering, at that meeting, I said, why are we sitting on campus and making noise? Let's go into town with the action. That is where people will feel our strength. We mobilized, and because we knew the police was watching us, we didn't go with buses that time. We just used other routes before they realized we were in the CBD. Because if we had gone with buses, they would stop us. So we just did small Mao guerrilla tactics movement before they realized we were in the CBD. Now, Paul, so when anybody thinks that I just woke up and walked into some NDC politics, it's because they don't know the story.
I don't think anybody's saying
Yeah.
that.
Oh, no. There's a certain group of people, and my literature refers to them as urchins. Yeah. And chimney sweepers. Yeah, clothed in suit, who have just walked into today's politics. And they think that because there's something called social media, all they do is to insult. Then they have, I heard there's something they call screenshot. So after they insult, they screenshot and they send it to their paymasters, and that's how they butter their bread every day. And said, I feel sorry for
I don't believe that.
Oh yeah, people do that. That's what they do. And some of them
to pass comments.
and some of them have graduated from university, but that's the job they do. And when they see you climb up a certain ladder, they are jealous. Because I don't waste my time on that. You have decided to clothe yourself in suit and walk around as an urchin. I'm not an urchin, never been an urchin, will never will be an urchin. So they live off social media and they gloat in the fact that they insult for a living. Stay there and be insulting. Others will move ahead. They will grow into jobs. You'll get jealous, you get angry. Your destiny is just around social media and insults. So Paul, that is the journey in which...
How did you meet Professor Mills?
Good. So Professor Mills was a lecturer on campus.
Way back.
Yeah, so when I entered Legon in 1990, he was a lecturer on campus. He was the president of the Amalgamated Sports Club. And me too, I was doing some 2x4 hockey. And
You played hockey for the University of Ghana?
not Ghana, not the University of Ghana.
That you were hanging around.
I was hanging around the Legon Hall team and football as well. And so in that interaction, I got to meet this Dr. Mills.
Oh, then. Oh, so you guys knew him as Dr.
We knew him
Mills.
as Dr. Mills, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But of course, those whom he lectured at the faculty and School of Administration, Commercial Law, and then the Law Faculty, and always talked about this lecturer who was telling this. And those days I think he had a coffee or a maroon vehicle. It must have been a Stanza or something, or in the Sun. And the story of how he would just be giving students lifts here and there. And that was the Professor Mills we knew. And so by the time in 96, it came up that he was Papa Jay's, of course, Flight Lieutenant Jerry Rawlins' running mate. Then the election was won and he became vice president. Of course, I did not stop keeping my eye on him as vice president of the Republic. So that is my relationship with Mills. And
Starting from when, 96?
No, yeah, from Legon campus. So when I entered Legon in
terms
90,
of working politics with him.
oh, politics is 96. 96, but not at close range.
Yeah.
I'm saying I just kept my eyes on him as a vice
When
president.
did you enter his inner circle?
His inner circles mainly was 2001.
That when he had lost,
But when he had lost,
there was nothing to share.
there was nothing to share. Koku Hill.
I remember.
Yeah, Koku
There
Hill.
was no paper.
Nothing. And of course, those days I was, like you said in your intro, I was then at the Metropolitan and Allied Bank. So I had finished Legon, gone to the UK, University of East Anglia, gone and done my first master's, came back, then worked with the United Nations High Commission for Refugees office here in Accra. Our office then was at Airport Residential Area. So these Liberian refugees, Sierra Leonean refugees, I worked closely with them. In fact, the first batch of Sierra Leonean refugees, I was part of the group that birthed them. The UNHCR, the Ghana Refugee Board. Those days it wasn't NADMO, it was something, mobilization. NMP, National Mobilization Program, blah, blah. Now, that also. So back to my political orientation. Paul, it was a Ghanaian fishing vessel that had picked this batch of Sierra Leoneans from Mamioko. There's a famous hotel in Freetown known as Mamioko. It has now transited, is now, my wife forgot the name. Anyway, so the vessel brought this batch of Sierra Leonean refugees. So at the Tema port, when we had to do the documentation, to check them in first, bring them in, there are processes. Even before you can be given refugee status, you must go through certain processes. Paul, everybody in that vessel was either a politician or a high up. Now, when I went to
We thought were refugees.
when I went to Sierra Leone later on, working with ECOWAS, doing international election monitoring, then I got to know Mamioko Hotel. Obviously, Paul, Mamioko is like Kempinski.
Also, ordinary people couldn't have afforded.
Thank you. So they were able to be in Mamioko
And get a vessel. Come to safety.
Rent a vessel. The fishing vessel. So the vessel was going to fish for fish. They ended up fishing for men. And they paid and they came back. Every one of them had a diplomatic passport.
Sitting in the vessel.
With visas. So those ones never became refugees in Ghana. They only came to safety, transited outside the country. So when finally the real refugees started coming, then you had your Bukari mosquito that Asomdwee decided to name himself after. Cutting people's arms, short sleeve, long sleeve, and limbs. Yeah, James Bukari. He was the real mosquito. Then Asomdwee decided to adopt that name.
Was it not Rawlins who gave the name to Asomdwee?
Maybe. And working with refugees, then I said, wow. So these big politicians, anytime there's war, they will escape, is that not it? And it's the ordinary people that end up suffering. that also impacted my concept and thought process. So eventually, when 2001, now working at the bank because I left the UN system, so the first private commercial bank in Ghana, Alexa Shagos private bank, Metropolitan and Allied Bank, a Ghanaian Malaysian collaboration. And we started as the youth forum at Koku Hill. Yeah, you mentioned Elvis. Elvis was one of the Fifi Kweti was one of them. Most of the time I don't like mentioning their names because the way the politics has got into, I prefer them to speak for themselves. But today, because you mentioned Elvis, and for the records, so Elvis, Fifi Kweti were part of it. There are a lot of people who were not part of it.
This Koku Hill.
This Koku Hill.
Which year?
2001.
Oh, okay.
So people like us who were employed, graciously so, will help fund activities of the youth forum, press conferences here and there, setting up a newspaper, funding the newspaper to work purposely.
Your own money?
Yeah.
As young men?
Young men. Now, that's when I cut my teeth in writing. I've always been good at writing. My English is good, my literature is good, graciously so. So when President Kufuor now started the proceed on leave, yeah, and government officials should leave government bungalows, harassing ex-NDC officials. Of course, President Mills, or then Vice President Mills, got harassed. Rawlings himself got harassed, invited to BNI because he had gone and made some positive defiance statement. Every day I sit at the bank while I'm doing the financial transactions and everything. My heart will bleed. Then, of course, as has become the norm, Kufuor retired 7 generals, including my father. They had to go home. So Major General Ayidoho, Major General Francis Mahama, General Smith, Charles Okain, so 7 of them. So, of course, I mean, that has become the norm if a party changes. So it wasn't the retirement that really irked me. What did the irking the most was when 1 or 2 newspapers, including Kofi Kumsin's Chronicle, and my senior brother Koku Bakun at the time, targeted a certain General Ayidoho because he had spent 10 years plus as board chairman of Ghana Telecom.
Oh, I remember.
And he had been sent there by his mother unit, Signal Regiment.
Oh, yeah, they are connected.
Institutional representation.
Yeah.
It wasn't politics. And they sought to create the impression that he had done some untoward things at Ghana Telecom. And knowing my father. So one afternoon when I couldn't take it any longer, I just dropped my tie from the bank, gave instructions to my junior colleagues, and I just drove to East Legon. I said, Papa, these are the things that they are writing about you. Is it true? I said, my son, sit down. And my father is very good at record keeping. I'm sure it's something they teach them in the academy. Produced records, stacks of them. This is it. What those people are doing is just politics. Because my father ended up as a general officer commanding the Northern Command before the 2000 elections.
He moved to Kumasi, I think.
Kumasi, exactly. And that is the stronghold of the MPP. So obviously, doing your job and just being professional. And I think Kwamna Bartels was one of the people in those days. All he did was to have his military muffler, a camouflage muffler. And they said he was in an NDC. My father would never do.
Green.
Thank you.
NDC
But NDC too has green.
Oh, but that's military green.
Aha. But you know the politics of it. Anyway, so once I was convinced that Papa had done no wrong, check my record of like, what? Is this politics? So I now took to my fingers. And this book that I wrote, my foundation text for the book is from Psalm 144 verse 1. The Lord my rock, who has prepared my hands for battle, and my fingers for warfare. Or the other way around, my hands for warfare and my fingers for battle. So I just hit my laptop those days. I started writing articles for the Ghana Palava.
Still working at the bank.
Still working at the bank. So, I mean, multitasking. Because now I had to.
Jojo Buskwansa. Is he still around?
He should be.
Okay.
I'm sure he's also peeled off because things are not as it used to be. So he peeled off. I mean, why not? And people nobody's growing younger anyway. And if the philosophy you were following is now drowning or sinking as low as the Titanic sank, you would rather not be in the ballroom dancing. You would want to look for a lifeboat and float to safety.
We'll get there.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to be getting there. People are getting excited.
So
sorry, I'm going all the way. I'm not closing at 11 viewers. We're going all the way. As for Jampo, good evening to you. You are complaining that I said you're an NDC voter. Don't worry about that. We haven't taken a break here. We'll take it.
So that's it. So I began to churn out articles in the Ghana Palava under a pseudonym. I may not mention the pseudonym now.
Oh, but I think Koku Ayidoho knew.
Oh, people got to know.
Because he told me.
Yeah.
He was complaining about it. I said, about Jojo. He said, this is Koku, it's not Jojo.
Yes, I mean, some of the things you can't hide. I mean, because I had to now fight to liberate first my father, first the family name, second the family name, and then now our political leaders who were being held hostage by a certain political system. Of course, they had been in opposition for what, almost 30 years. Suddenly they had found political power, and so they had to harass. And there was some
a cool mentality.
Exactly, and everybody became an enemy overnight. And Battles himself as a housing minister at the time was entering official bungalows and chasing former government officials out. I mean, anyway. Well, let's get it on. And this now our elders had gone into captivity, and we the young ones now have this.
Everyone was hiding.
Now, the beauty of that moment was that leadership had been thrust upon us, because a certain layer that should have existed after the Rawlings group of people did not exist by that time, which is the reform group.
Oh, they left.
Guzi and Co had left.
Oh, I've never heard this analysis
Yes.
before. It's very interesting.
Guzi.
So they would have taken up the mantle in 2001.
Guzi, Chitre, Peter Podugbe, Mijay Bano,
Sam
that group, they had left.
Very effective people.
Very effective people. But they had formed the Reform Party.
Oh, that's interesting. So Professor Mills had to go below.
So leadership fell on us at that time.
Those who had just finished university 5 years ago, 10 years ago.
Exactly. We had no option.
Elvis, Idrisu Haruna, I think.
Idrisu
Baba
was
Jamal.
good. I keep mentioning John Adams. People like...
Who's John Adams? Kofi Adams?
No, not Kofi. He wasn't part of us. Okay. There's a certain John Adams. He was our convener.
Okay.
People like Clarissa Kolache, the late Jijote, Utache Gadiel Aqua, Komla Sopo, we call him Sopo Sali. I mean, people...
I'm trying to remember. Who was the chairman of the NDC at the time? Yeah, it remained the
so,
Ali and...
exactly, until we went to Congress in 2002.
202, before it was changed.
Before it was changed. And then...
But they were tired by that time.
Then
They've been chairman since 92.
Yeah, then Obed became the first single chairman.
Yeah.
It was a co-chairmanship.
Yeah.
But that's how leadership fell on us. And so those of us who were working and had income, we had to support activities.
Around Professor Mills.
He had then now gone, around Koku Hill, paying telephone bills. And that was the beginning of the era of serial calling. And there was this culture that then back pass.
What's that?
Yeah, so one person calls, he finishes, then I pass on to you. So one line is blocked.
So you also talk?
For 10 people to talk.
Because when you are trying to call, it will be difficult.
It's difficult. So back pass. It was a culture for serial calling at the time until that one also stopped. But Paul, all in all, this is the trajectory, the foundation, the history. So one didn't find himself. So it is through my writing. And because I was fighting a mega war for the NDC. There was nobody in those days who did it. Of course, unless you were not politically astute, you had to buy the Palava and read the Cassius Clay column. So now I've even given the name out.
I remember.
Yeah, because that is it. The battles had to be fought.
People reading?
What?
Those days. So that's
as
recently as 2001, we're reading.
People were reading because we didn't have the internet. It's the internet that is spoiling us. Yeah. But people were buying
the paper to read.
In fact, Cabral was the chairman for my book launch. Those days, Chronicle, only one edition in Legon. We had to queue to buy. It came out once a week. So Cabral was a columnist. Kofi Kimson himself was writing Politicus. P.A.V. Ansah
Was there?
The guru himself was there. In bits and pieces, Odikajeko wrote something. Kweku Sechiado wrote. Yeah.
Correct.
So it was a storehouse.
Chronicle was powerful.
Oh my goodness.
Powerful.
And
Koku Ayidoho edited it, or the Gajepo edited
at
it.
a late subsequent, yes.
It was a massive newspaper.
Then if you went to the sports column, Cal24, then a certain Kofi Opariado and
Kofi
co.
Ayidoho was very good.
Good. This was the Chronicle. So from cover to cover,
It was massive.
we read it.
It was massive.
And that was our political literature.
It was.
And the days that P.A.V. Ansah would decide to go to town because he felt that, and to use his phrase, that some people had desecrated the mangrove of his ancestors.
Ransford Jampo from Pabu Street, I hope you are still listening. They are mentioning P.A.V. Ansah here.
That the mangrove of his ancestors had been desecrated, obviously, by the J.J. Rawlings administration. So he was going to go to town. And so it means that that day,
But the language was good. I mean,
it was rich.
so rich. No insults. Sarcasm was huge.
So, Paul, when you have gone through a certain process, and so then by 2004, the system now acknowledges you, left, right, center. I remember the late Leo Cramel, so rest in peace. He said he used to wake up at dawn to read the Palava, and he would go to the bathroom and just be reading, because he needed some space where he could laugh. Now, these are battles that one fought single-handedly to be able to hold the NDC together. It was a battle.
Everyone thought
And
NDC would collapse.
Yeah,
After the election,
and we are still, and people don't realize that the battle doesn't end till the day you die. So we are still in battle.
So 2004, Professor Mills lost the election.
So 2004, now I became a member of the Koku Hill Communications Media whatever team, and Rojo, my senior colleague, chaired it. He was our leader at the time. But of course, because of my bank work, you have to, be taking stealing time, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, you were still working?
I was still working at the bank.
Okay.
So it was 2005 that President Mills now picks a phone, and those days I had now started the Masters in Communication program at Lagos, MASCOM. Out of about 1,000+ applicants, through various rigorous processes, only 25 of us made it to the class.
Egbert Fedu was there?
No, Egbert was not. I think we finished before him.
Okay.
That's if he went, we finished before him. But yeah, the gentleman who reviewed my book, Dr. Kwame Akufu Anof Into, was in the class. The Honorable Zuera Ibrahima, NDC's current MP for Salaga South, and a few of us, 25 of us, bonded, knitted well as a family. So, Paul, one got some grounding in communications theories. We didn't just walk into communications. We got some good grounding in communications theories from that P.A.V. Ansah Communications School. In that period, so now actively everybody knows who is writing those articles. Subsequently, there were then other pseudonyms and for other purposes, and we'll not mention them for now. But obviously, Adepa, as we say, Adepa neton home. So within that wholesale family of a certain youth forum, the stars began to shine. Yeah, stars began to shine. The gems began to pop up, and humbly so, I was one of the stars, one of the gems. And so when President Mills picked the phone and called me one morning and said, Koku, I've been reading you, I've been observing you. I know your father. I knew him as vice president because we worked closely. But prior to that, if you don't know, I played hockey with your father. And I remember my father was a very good hockey player as a young officer. He stopped playing because I think one day in the D, the hockey stick whacked him and his teeth and everything. But he was a good hockey player. So President Musa Koku, he was playing hockey with your father as a young lecturer. And your father was playing for the armed forces. We used to play way, way back. So even before I became vice president and met him in the line of national duty, we used to play hockey together. Like, wow. So I know you come from a good home. I've studied you, I've read you, I've researched you. Can you work for me? It was a Monday morning, Paul. I had finished my morning devotion. I still remember where I was kneeling after I'd prayed. And my fiancée at the time was sitting at the head of the bed, and the call came and I picked them. So the conversation, yes sir, I will. Okay, I'll resign. Yes, I'll resign. By the end of the week, I would have resigned.
From the bank?
Yes. Then, Koku, I don't have money to pay you.
That's what Prof said.
I said, but sir, then why did you call me? I don't believe you called me because of monetary consideration. You called me because you thought that there was something I could bring to bear on your campaign. So forget about the money aspect. God will provide. That was my answer. But sir, all I need from you is to commit to me, and I'll commit to you. Be truthful and be honest to me. And I promise you, if I have to die to protect you, I will die to protect you. That was the covenant between myself and Professor Mills.
That's a deep one.
Within days, I had resigned. In fact, when I finished, then
So this was Monday morning?
Monday morning. By Friday, I had resigned. But
were you expecting the call by any chance?
Good question. Prior to that, I hope I'm not the Pudong. Is it Pudong? The Pudong guy who's talking prior to that. It's not. Oh my goodness. We needed some humor here.
So before that.
But I'm using it in a good context. He was just using it. It was just complete malpractice.
No, he was talking about the zoo and
but prior to that. Anyway.
Okay.
So prior to that, talk about language. He had said to me that he was going to contest again to become flag bearer of the
for 08.
So this is 2005, but he's going to contest in 06.
For the 08.
For the 08.
This is the 06 that was becoming very difficult.
Exactly.
Ediana was coming, Spio Gabra was coming.
Exactly, and then Alhaji Muhammad Risu.
Yeah, Alhaji was there, yeah.
So three.
It was becoming complicated.
So Koku, I want a very small team. Very thin, lean. But I need a strong Voltarian. Because the NDC belongs to the Volta region. Can you help me find somebody from the Volta region? Wow, why me? So good question. And I have one or two people who can corroborate.
That you were expecting the call?
No, that he had this discussion with me.
Okay.
That I need a strong Voltarian, somebody of stature, quality, but fairly young, not the old stock. So, can you find somebody? I said, sir, I will. But for me, I'm like, who am I going to look for? So when he called that morning and said that, Koku, it's you that I want to work for you.
Oh, I see. Also, he had said that he is finding the Voltarian who is young.
And so I should help him find the person.
Ah.
Not knowing he was sowing a certain seed. He wasn't telling me direct. But after I delayed a few days and I couldn't get him the person, after one call, Koku, are you finding the person? I said yes. The next call was, Koku, it's you that I want to work for you. Paul, a combination of being flattered, humbled, touched, I considered it a calling. It wasn't just happenstance. Having matured now, especially in things of divinity and theology, because I just graduated from the Trinity Theological Seminary, I've come to understand that the God who created the universe is a very organized God, meticulous. And he creates people you call burden bearers. He creates the destiny connectors. He creates the destiny helpers. But everything that happens through your destiny, it is purposed. Because scripture says, he knew you before you were formed, and he sanctified you before you were born. Good. So let's go back to the story. So that morning when he called, then I accepted the call. When I finished the conversation, so that my fiancée at the time was like, who are you talking to? I said, Professor Mills. What is this about? You resign and blah, blah, blah. So I briefed her. And you didn't tell me. I said, well, Mercy, I've decided. She never said anything again and just supported me every step of the way. Fast forward, when President Mills also now narrated to me a certain aspect of his political journey and how he agreed to be running mate for President Rawlings without necessarily informing Mrs. Mills at the time, I said, wow, so many things connect us. It's passion. It's driven by passion and a strong commitment to conscience that will allow you to take such decisions. And so, Paul, that's how we began this covenant journey of working together. So I resigned, back to Kofi Kumsin. So after I resigned, then Alute Jacobs called me at the time. So this must be 2006 thereabout. That Kofi Kumsin is his friend, and so they met and they went talking. And Kofi Kumsin said he had heard that I had resigned from the bank to go and work for President Mills, candidate Mills. This sick man who's not going to win any election. And so he didn't believe that I had done it out of a good heart, nor altruism. Bank matters. I must have chopped some bank money.
You ran away.
And I'm running away. And that Kofi said he was going to dig me. So Alute was calling me as a concerned senior comrade.
Is there anything?
Is there anything?
Something there, yeah.
If there's something, Kofi is going to go. I said, let him go. He will find nothing. And so Kofi went up to today. How many years?
Sure, about 30, 25.
Found nothing. So when recently, this social media thing, and I only heard about 2 days ago, that some of these urchins and chimney sweepers who are now in politics for just short-term gain wrote on some social media handle and page that I left this whole thing about bank. I left because I had committed some fraud. I said, the view, you don't even know what you're talking about. So Paul, this is how one has walked a certain path of integrity and loyalty to the then candidate. So 2006, this same Kofi Kumsi.
So when you took the office, what was your role?
So my role, well defined, Koku. I want you to come and manage my communications for me. Now, in your preamble, you said something about, what do you call it? Mahama Yariga.
Yes.
Good.
Beginning there.
So the three of us,
And you and who else?
myself, Ayariga, and this guy called Milante Vanderpool.
I don't understand why you describe him as
Well, I will tell you why.
Okay.
So, Prof's rationale was that, so Ayariga, from the pure,
Yeah, please go.
yeah. So Ayariga was going to take care of a certain geographical area, Nilante a certain geographical area, and then of course Koku Ayidoho also, the Volta and a certain geographical area. Just the three of us were around Prof. But Ayariga, of course, had to now shift and shuffle between being around Prof and also focusing on his Boku Central seat. So he will be around, why not? But then he will move away again. So for me, I was communications director. Basically managing the whole communications, PR, speech writing, image management, media engagement, and all that. Ninante was for operations, which also had its own turf. I will not discount the turf. That's how the three of us around this candidate moved around the country and marketed him to become flag bearer in 2006. Now, 06 at N Block, Legon, that's where we had
that's the contest.
the night before. What we did to turn the thing around.
Were you losing?
We're not losing, no.
Why were you turning?
But we had to, when I said to turn the thing around, okay, for want of a better phrase, to turn it around more effectively. We didn't sleep. By morning time, the whole end block, Mills. Those days, Hanabisu was one of the spokespersons for Ediana. That was the first time I encountered her. And she tried to throw some tantrums that we had overbranded the place too much with Mills. But if you decide to sleep, because elections are won on the night of election.
Those parties.
I mean, that's when all the encomiums take place. So if you decided to sleep and you thought you were going to win, Master, we possessed the territory. And that's what we did. Finished and won by some 84.
It was heavy.
Heavy victory.
Heavy.
And this was 22nd, 23rd of December 2006. Those days, a few people were not pro-Mills. Most of us who were the pro-Mills people. So we did it for him. So he beat Spilgabra, he beat Edianan, and they beat Alhaji Mahama.
Okay, let's fast forward. So 2009, Mills is now sworn in as president. What was your
role? But let me just say this, it's very important.
Yeah.
After that Congress, 25th December, I almost died.
Why?
I woke up in the morning and Professor Uno asked me to come to his North Hacho residence to come and brief him about the Congress because he didn't come. And this is a party godfather.
Senior person.
So 25th, it was a Sunday, Christmas Day. I was then living in Dansuma. And I drove to the place, sat with him. By 7 a.m. I was there. I was leaving around 9:30, 10. I was feeling funny. My throat began to dry up. Hamatan, Christmas Hamatan. Those days I was using an Opel Vectra, GW 2646Q. Just as I was hitting the Kufuor Hotel area, I began to black out. Yeah. I was losing my breath. I couldn't see anything. I was dying, Paul. I just started praying to God, Lord, please, forgive me. I mean, everything that I've done. I mean, how I got to 37, I don't know. Luckily, Christmas Day, around 10, there wasn't traffic. So, just got to 37, parked the vehicle, and I didn't get out of the vehicle. My luck was that the wife of an army officer had seen me drive in. And when I wasn't getting out of the vehicle, she went and got a wheelchair. They came, took me there. Look, my everything, my stats were just...
What happened?
I'm so fatigued from the Congress. All the running around the country, I had not done it before. I mean, and we were speaking for you. At every event, you must speak and introduce the candidate. Long and short, I spent another 2 months to 3 months. Yeah, at Arnold Ford.
I see.
Yes.
On admission.
On admission.
Wow.
Now, the reason why I'm telling this story is that the number of times that President Mills would come and sit by my bedside.
May he rest in peace.
Yeah, the number of times he would come and sit at my bedside and bring me books to read.
Wow.
And just, Koku, it will be well. It will be well. Don't worry. It will be well. You'll be fine. And we'll win the election. Paul.
Oh, you win the election? He was already there.
You know what I mean? Now, when a man shows you so, of course, other people came.
Yeah, yeah.
Professor Wuno came. I remember Uncle Atua Hoy came. Of course, my father was the first person to be there. I'm grateful to him. Mercy, my fiancée at the time. I mean, my family, Timoma. But I'm saying that this man just loved me beyond measure. And I returned the love also. So fast forward, we campaigned vigorously. So the song I sang earlier, I put it in. Other things, I took him to Photo Club, Stanley Felton's place.
For photographs?
I had to get him. My decision as the lead communications manager was to get him to look a certain way for me. And I explained to him that I didn't want suits, I didn't want jackets, I didn't want anything. We are marketing a certain image about you. It must be soft, it must be appealing. He talked about Nanado. Nanado was doing suits. So I said, don't do suits. Let Nanado be the bourgeoisie politician. You are not a bourgeoisie politician. You are down to earth. You are a professor of law. You don't have anything to prove. You are a former vice president. What do you want the suit and tie for? Let Nanado be in the suit and tie.
That's what the doctor's shirt he was wearing came in.
Tall.
I remember that.
Tall.
Oh, I see.
And I even wanted a short sleeve.
Oh,
I didn't.
so it was planned. It was a short sleeve.
It was planned. I took him to Photo Club.
I think you deserve congratulations for that. Everyone noticed the change of his image, but I don't know it was strategically planned.
Strategically planned. And we took him to Photo Club, Stanley Felton himself.
And took the photos.
Plenty. Before we got, even that day when we were leaving, the prof himself was frustrated because, Koku, what is this? I'm tired. I said, sir, don't worry. You want to be president? Oh, you will be tired before you become.
The newspapers and all that, everywhere. That was his new image.
That was the new image that I created for him. The Asomdwee image. Amazing Asomdwee. Usuro Nyame. Better Ghana. Then we even started with I Care For You.
I Care For You. Yeah.
Good. So if you are, and I remember Rollins.
I'm angry with it. He's
very angry with it.
Yeah, it's like a soap advert. I remember that.
But he came to Kuku Hill.
Rollins has said that before. I don't remember where. He
the
said that
first
before.
and only time he came to Kuku Hill, one early morning, it was because of what I Care For You thing. It's like a mother hen, just hide and some chicken. No, that's not the image of the NBC. Anyway, we had our moments that day.
Okay.
But Paul, this is what we did. And you said the Better Ghana agenda. Yes. The 2-3 of us who came with the Better Ghana came from us, from me. Because you're talking another was the best man for Ghana, best man.
Yeah.
I said nobody, it's only God who is best. No human being is best. So let Ghana be doing his best. We will just say a better Ghana. Beneath the Better Ghana, then we anchored it around 4 thematic areas. Investing in people, job creation, building a strong and resilient economy, and then governing in an open, honest, transparent manner. Transformational leadership. That is very necessary. Oh, that's what we did. And we managed to theme it. When we did the manifesto launch at the Round Pavilion at Trade Fair, themed it very well. Before then, there were some IEA presidential debates. I was the only one who went with him. I will prepare him, sit with him. But one of it happened the day that Chachu Chikata was jailed.
One of the debates?
Yes.
Oh, I see.
The IEA debate at Alisa.
Alisa Hotel, I remember that.
The afternoon before the evening, that's when Chachu was jailed. Prof was so distraught. And we believed that it was a political strategy to off-track Prof. Because if Chachu is going to jail, then the man cannot perform at the debate. Amidst all the trauma, he says, Koku, I know they've done this because of me. That was when I saw the resilient and steely nature of this man. Koku, we will go. We will go. We will go. Don't worry. And the two of us, with Daddy, the security man, the driver, Eliezer.
Just you and him.
It was just me and him, Paul. So today when some brothers...
No, I told a story in the studio. I don't know
yes,
where you heard it.
Yeah. Today when some two brothers...
You and him came to collect a decoder.
Yes.
I was there.
When some two brothers...
Of Mills.
Samuel Atta Mills and Cadman Atta Mills want to create an impression. At the time that their brother was a candidate, where were they? That today, my brother. Which brother? Which brother?
But where were they?
Thank you. Where were they? Samuel Atta Mills, the first time I saw him was when we were in opposition. So 08. The president had to go to US. The candidate had to go to US for some campaign tour. Talking about my eldest brother, Charles. When we arrived at GFK, it was my brother Charles. We all call him Fonzie.
UN.
UN.
New York then.
New York. He picked us up from JFK. Drove us to his house at White Plains in New York. Professor Mills, candidate Mills, slept in my brother's house.
Oh, wow.
We shared a meal together. Myself and Balo.
2008.
2008.
The election year.
Good. Early that year.
Yeah, but it's still the election year. And it was still you and him.
Just me and him. And one security man. So my brother Charles, that is family, picked up this professor to his house at White Plains. His children had to vacate their room. That it was on his children's bed that this professor slept humbly. My brother and his wife and his family never forgot it. And when he became president, every time he was at the UN General Assembly, he will request, Koku, I want to see your brother and his family. And they will come. And they will also enter his bedroom and sit with him in there. So, Sammy, where were you? And Sam, you understand? Subsequently, we flew from JFK to Dallas Airport in Washington. Cadman picked us up to his house in Potomac.
So you met Cadman too?
So we met Cadman. And we stayed in Cadman's house. That was when I met Sammy for the first time as a sibling.
He was in Cadman's house?
He wasn't in Cadman's house. He came later from some outlandish part of the US.
Oh, he was based there?
He was based there. Some outlandish part of the US. I still remember how he was apparelled. But I'll leave that conversation for another day. And when his two brothers sat him down, I was there when I'm listening to every conversation. A complete recluse and renegade who had found himself in the US and disappointed the family, doing nothing and annoyed with all his siblings.
Sammy?
Yes! This one.
The MP?
That one. I have really had no regard for him. And his brother, the president, knew. He said, Koku, I know. Look, the first time President knows, and when I say it, I stand up, had to apologize to me, was in Tamale. All because of this Sammy. Because some monies that should have been given to media person, how Sammy created the story that I had chopped media money. And Paul, you have been in the media for so many years. No, that's nothing. That's one thing nobody can pin on me.
For sure.
But Sammy tried to create that impression. And when I heard it that night from the same media people, of course, out of strong emotions, I said that the next morning I was on a flight out of Tamale back to Accra. I will resign and look for something else to do because I will not allow Samuel Atta Mills to mess up my image and my integrity. If it is because of his brother he wants to do that, I'll walk away. Of course, walls have ears. So the president heard that night. First thing in the morning, I got a call from the ADC, Colonel Lawson. Immediately I walked into his room. Koku, I heard about everything that happened last night. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. It's because of me that my brother offended you. So forgive me. Please don't resign. Stay, let's work. Tears just rolled down my cheeks.
By this time, were you communication director at the
castle? Yes, I was communication director at the castle, at the presidency.
And Samuel was he was not an MP?
He was not an MP then. So by this time, he had now come from his US
to base here.
Power
has come.
As he will fear away.
But Cadman too was here.
No, he was. Yeah, so he too came.
But you seem to have more respect for Cadman than Samuel.
Certainly. Until the last 2 years, that he is forcing me to remove the wrap of respect around him because he's also getting into this mud with Sammy. Otherwise, I've always respected Cadman. As for Sammy, he was just a loafer at the castle, had no office, had no official designation. Sammy should come and tell me his official designation at the castle. Zero.
Brother of the president.
That's all. Now Ochucha will be 90. Today he's a security specialist. Tomorrow he's a communication specialist. The other day he's a food specialist. The next day he's a medical doctor. My brother. Fortunately for us, his brother respected all of us and the rules that we played around him. And Sami thought that he could influence his brother against us.
Okay, let's fast forward.
And to the extent that he couldn't succeed in influencing his brother against us, almost every one of us around his brother became an enemy.
Was there a division in the castle between the vice president, John Mohammed's office, and your office?
There was, well, it depends on how you define division, but the vice president created his own secretariat.
Yeah, I remember. I used to go there. Maoko Zomelo.
Good. And I don't think that it is improper for any vice president to have his staff.
But were you not communicating?
We were communicating.
Were you disrespecting John Mahama?
This question, when people ask, my answer I say is that anybody who believes that I disrespected John Mahama then believes that President Mills was not strong. You had President Mills as President of the Republic. You had Mr. Henry Martin Newman as Chief of Staff. You had Mr. James Beba Akumensa as Secretary to President. You had Professor Wuno as Chairman of Council of State. Among these four senior persons, there was no way Koku Ayidoho could have disrespected the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana. Paul.
But we heard stories.
As for the stories, plenty.
What about the motorcade that was returned from Kintampo?
Who with me?
Well, they don't know who. John Mahama was on the motorcade going to the north. He got to Kintampo and Colonel Atachi called him and said, who asked him to take the motorcade? You should come back to the castle.
Certainly not me.
Did you know about it? Did you hear about it?
Me. Look, let me tell you.
But did you hear about this one?
Yeah, this is the first time I'm hearing motorcade. I've heard other things, but this not this motorcade.
This motorcade doesn't have your name.
Yes.
But this is one of the prominent, disrespectful things that happened to John Mahama from the Mills people. He was going to.
Let me tell you other things.
He was told that return the motorcade.
Let me tell you other things that supposedly happened. The way the castle is configured, the topmost floor has the vice president to one side, the president to another side, the cabinet room, secretary to the president. That's the uppermost floor. There's a dedicated corridor from the vice president's office right to the front of the president's office. The only person you meet there is the ADC, the military ADC, Colonel Lawson. My office was beneath that level. I had speeches to write. I had media people to manage. I had other engagements to. So I didn't have an office in front of President Mills' office, as you've heard. That I had that my office was next to the president's office.
Did you have any encounter with John Mahama?
Hold on. Such that when the vice president is coming to the president's office,
stop him.
I'll stop him.
Did you tell?
I had no such.
Did you tell Lawson to stop him?
I mean, how? A military. Come on.
Yeah, I can understand. Colonel is not going to listen to Ayidoho to give him instructions.
Subsequently, I heard that was what was happening.
That
a certain Asomdwee was issuing orders to military colonels, not under Mills. If it happened under John Mahama, that is their cup of tea, but not under Mills, not under Jerry Rawlings. The level of discipline. Paul, if I wanted to see President Mills, I had to go through the processes.
But did you have any encounter with John Mahama?
Never.
What is this story about? Some Saturday, Mills was unwell in 2012 early. Rumors were that he had died. John Mahama is reported to have called Speaker Joyce Banfordado to tell Joyce Banfordado that I hear the president has passed. Can you organize parliament? The story continues that Joyce then asked Kojo Chikata, that's how are we going to do this? They said the old man is dead. Kojo said, I've not heard it. How can the old man die? I don't know. He said, well, this is what the vice president called to tell. Story continues that Kojo Chikata came to the castle to see what's happening. When he came, all of you were around Professor Mills singing praises, and Professor Mills was there. And then you were told that you asked Kojo, what is that? Kojo said, well, Speaker said, Vice President said, Papa has died. And I hear the Monday you went to John Mohammed's office, it was brutal. Is it true?
I must have entered the Vice President's office not more than 4 times, all on official assignment.
So this story is not true?
Palpably false.
Did Mills have any problem on a Saturday like that?
I don't remember, I don't recall.
So
now let me give you a typical example of how the president respected his vice president. So the president had gone to Switzerland, to Bern, the capital, for a state visit. Then flew to Zurich to meet Sepp Blatter to discuss football matters, because everybody knows the president and football, blah, blah.
Oh, yeah.
Those were the issues of accountability. Long and short. Sepp Blatter said, look, FIFA is not against accountability. What we are against is the interference of governments in the administering the FA. So, for example, if the FA goes to Congress.
Okay, so this is when you created accountability committee out of Parliament.
Good.
Oh, I remember that.
We created a public interest committee,
Committee
of the GFA, not Parliament.
But Parliament acknowledged it somehow.
Good.
Yeah.
And Abedi was supposed to chair that public interest committee.
Pele.
And all that. Of course, myself, Kojo Bonsu, this same Nilante and a few people. Chumbuafo Zali. All rabid sports enthusiasts.
Yeah.
And we were all for it. Only for the president to call us one day and say, look, gentlemen, you know what? John Mahama, the vice president, has come to me. Apparently, Kwesi Nyantechi and Randy Abe
Had
got to see him.
Yeah, to talk about.
To make him feel that we are doing something that is not done. FIFA will collapse Ghana. How can FIFA collapse Ghana?
Okay, so what did the president tell you?
So the president said, the vice president came to me with this story. He's forgotten that I'm a football administrator. He's forgotten that I went to FIFA and I checked all these things. But he believes that you people are doing something and that it can affect the image of sports in Ghana. So you know what? Not that I believe him, but out of respect for him, he has come to complain to me as the president. Why don't you guys just back off so that he believes and knows that whatever he brought to me, I have handled it to the best of my ability.
Oh, that is deep.
I'm telling you. This is President Mills.
Oh, I see. So that's how
Yes.
the committee was slowed down.
Slow down.
Then you must have been annoyed with John Mahama then.
How?
Because
The president says, so me, fast forward, when now Randy and Nyantechi stopped being friends, and then Nyantechi had his issues, I only said, Nyantechi, if you had allowed us at the time to help you
Oh, you're right.
with the
If
public
there was
interest.
that public interest, the system wouldn't have broken down the way it is.
And then
Because
for
that
you,
public interest would have just taken over
exactly.
and decide what to do. A FIFA would have relaxed.
Thank you.
Oh,
And so,
yeah,
so they fell out. The Randy and the Nyantechi, really they fall out.
Yeah, they did.
But interestingly enough, Paul, a lot of the people, those days, Randy was a regular on Peace FM. Even I think maybe here Metro.
Yeah, Metro said it.
Lost no opportunity to bash Mills. Who else was not bashing Mills? Those were the days of the Funka Boys, Kofi Adams and co. They will insult Mills 24 hours.
Hey, I forgot about Funka. Osu Bempa. I own Osu Bempa.
Immediately,
Things have happened in this country.
Immediately, President
I've forgotten.
Mills died. Yamin and co. Broja Jenfi and co. They were in the Ashanti region holding that leg of the insults and the Mills bashing. Immediately, President Mills died. They became right-hand men of John Mahama. And today, they say that even positive criticism against John Mahama is not accepted.
I'll come to that. How did you hear that Mills had died?
So, I was in my office that morning.
It was a weekday.
So,
Tuesday.
it was a Tuesday. I had seen him the Saturday, which was his birthday, 21st. I had woken up, gone to see him by 6 a.m. And his son Kofi came to join us. We had some interesting discussion about issues. And so that's me crying, eh? And that was Saturday. Sunday, there was church service. Monday, the medics said he wasn't seeing anybody, which is... So Tuesday morning, I was in my office, actually, working on some speech that he was supposed to deliver at a public function. Because I used to write all his speeches. Name them. State of the Nation.
Was he traveling on Tuesday?
Well, I got to know. I didn't know before, but I got to know later, yes, that actually he was going to leave for Nigeria that Tuesday morning.
Okay.
So I was in my office when a security man came banging on my door. They've taken the old man away. They've taken the old man. I said, Akele Tengbe. Charlie, I will let it.
Wole from where?
So, apparently he was carried, stretchered.
From where?
From his room.
A castle.
At the castle. Into the
Room
ambulance.
or office?
No, not from the office. The residence.
The residence. And put in what kind of car?
Of course, that's the other one in an ambulance.
With motorcade was there?
Motorcade, medic. So that's, if at the point they said I carried him in the boot of my vehicle.
Okay, so the motorcade drove him to 37?
Yeah, they drove him to 37.
In a normal presidential?
Oh, yeah, that one.
So all those stories are not true?
They are not true.
Thank you.
They are not
Very
true.
happy
I mean,
to
no,
hear.
they are not true. I mean, a sitting president, definitely there will be motorcade. The ADC joined.
So he didn't come to the office at all that day?
No, he didn't come to the office at all that day.
Was it a residence?
It was a residence.
Fell,
yeah. And of course, the stories abound. His son says he had lunch with him. A sister is supposed to have gone there. All those other stories, that is their story.
You didn't see anything?
No, I didn't.
So you were in your office?
I was in my office.
Okay.
And so now, we went to 37. And he was declared officially dead around
2 o'clock.
Yeah, 1:32 or thereabout.
What happened thereafter?
Well, I remember when I arrived, because the motorcade had left.
Is that you and Alote Jacob?
That's me and Alote Jacob, yes.
Wow.
We finished mourning and finished crying like this, and they say we have no right to keep the man's legacy alive. And they didn't laugh at us those days. Yes, the man, their father is dead and gone. We'll see how they will survive in Ghana. And we are surviving and it's paining them.
So,
yeah,
what happened
so
hours after?
when I got to 37, because like I'm saying, the motorcade left, the security man came to inform me, so I now had to rush to 37. So I got there. And when I got there, of course, I saw Colonel Lawson.
He was with him?
Yeah, the ADC went with him.
Yeah.
But his office, I mean, he
Yeah,
didn't,
they're right there, yeah.
So I'm telling you that as much as I was close to the president, I had access to his bedroom. I would sit on his bed. He would be bathing, but he would draw the blinds. We can have a conversation. When we got to the office setting, Paul, he made sure that
everybody kept their place.
That kept their place.
So when you got to 37, what happened?
So I got to 37, and once I arrived, I was ushered into the ICU, the intensive care unit. So the story that he went to a maternity ward is also not true. Children's ward is not true. He went to the ICU, and he had commissioned the ICU maybe 2-3 months before.
That.
And it was a double commissioning he did when he went to 37 at the time. The ICU and the refurbished mortuary.
Oh, wow.
And as fate will have it.
That's interesting.
As fate will have it.
From the ICU?
From the ICU.
He went to the mortuary.
He went to the mortuary. Where papa, where fa.
So when
good,
you were leaving 37,
so when I went to 37, I was ushered into the ICU. And then that was the lifeless body of the president. They removed the cloth.
The white.
And so they up to maybe the navel.
So you saw his face?
I saw his face. I saw his upper body. And as I stood there watching the lifeless body of the president, I'm not sure how I got out of the ICU because, you know.
You don't know how you got out of the ICU?
I don't know how I got out of the ICU.
They carried you?
I don't know.
Where did you end up?
So later on I realized that we were in a room and they had brought a psychologist to come and work on us, a few
Who's
of us. Oh, myself and Colonel Lawson was part of it. A few close aides. I don't remember any of the brothers being in that close meeting.
Was the Reverend Minister there?
Amudaku. It's possible.
Yeah.
And this psychologist came. Then the lead physician, who also came and said that, gentlemen, you know that the president is there, don't you? Yeah, it's good to cry, it's good to break down, it's good to weep. But let's allow him to go and rest. And that he had defied medical science for 8 years.
Oh, 8 years.
That he had defied medical science for 8 years. Now, Paul, and I want to believe that the medical doctor was telling us the truth. A man who defied medical science for 8 years to take this party from opposition into power. Because I remember in those quiet moments, when the MPP was laughing at him and calling him a failure because he had lost 2004 was contentious. But instead of moving us onto the streets in 2004, that's when he said he will never become president on the drop of anybody's blood. And that if Kufuor says he's won the election, let him have it. Or if it is God's will, Ghanaians will give me the presidency in 4 years' time. Very prophetic.
He said that in 2004.
In 2004. This was at Koku Hill and on other platforms. But I remember Koku Hill 1. He had to convince, because some of us wanted him to convince us as to why he will not hit the streets. And he said, no way. If I hit the streets, you people will die. Koku, I need you for the next election. I'm not going to kill you. Stay alive and let's win this election. In 2008. That was what gingered us into that 2008 election. Because this man was just leading us with conviction. But
were you in support of the choice of John Mahama as a running mate? I know that was quite divided as well.
He called me. President Mills called me before he took the decision. I know some of the party bigwigs wanted Alhaji Mohamed Mumunu to be maintained.
Well, Mills himself wanted Mohamed Mumunu, didn't he say that?
Well, so when he called me one morning, and the number of times he called me, look, the respect. So, because like you said,
so when he
called me.
What did he say?
He actually called me and said, Koku, I am going to take a decision. Now, this decision, anyway, so he's taking a decision, and John Mahama is going to be his running mate. And his words were, Koku, please accept my choice and let's work.
He suspected you won't accept it.
I don't know.
Who was your choice?
I didn't have a choice.
Well, there was Betty Modidrisu. There was John Mahama.
Certainly not Betty.
There was John Mahama. There was Mohamed Mumuni.
So Mumuni, when I was with the UNHCR, he was employment minister. The first time I encountered him was at some public forum at this hotel, Novotel. I fell in love with his English.
Oh yeah, he speaks very well. Mohamed Mumuni speaks very well, yeah.
Sweet English.
Zacharian.
Yeah. As a student of the language, when I see people who speak the language, I admire. So when he was made running mate in 2004, I was excited.
So you were hoping that will continue?
I mean, what could you...
So you were supporting John Mahama because Professor Mills said this is my choice?
That is the boss.
Okay, I get it.
And besides, honestly, I had nothing against John Mahama. I didn't know him at close range. He was not one of the people that I was close to. So what will I have against him? I remember.
That's surprising because many of us, well, younger than you, we all coalesce around John Mahama. Anybody of my age, media who was thinking NDC, we all coalesce around John Mahama.
Yeah, but that is the strength of the media, because he was
a media creation.
He's a media person. He used to open up with the coffee shop group.
I mean, he would sit in his office at communication, and I'll be there. Commander Duma will come there. Stand up.
So that's it. But and so let's say that his candidature won.
He was a media favorite. There's no doubt about it.
And for me, what I did for his outdooring was ample testimony to the fact that once he had been chosen.
What happened at that place? I don't know whether it's a better question for Elvis. We all showed up there as journalists to hear Professor Mills' running mate. Mills didn't come. He sent Elvis with a piece of paper to announce that John Mahama has been chosen as the running mate.
Well, there was something that took the Kama Conference Center.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mills didn't come. You didn't come too. What was it about? Rollins came. What was that? What was the story behind that?
Well, the story behind it is that President Mills had taken the decision. The National Executive Committee had taken the decision. But obviously the founder still had issues. And so ways had to be found to announce the choice of the running mates once the party
had sat down
to accept it. And so the political antics took place, and the running mate was mentioned, and the founder had no option but to accept.
So let's come now to Asomdwee Park. Mills dies. He's buried at Asomdwee Park, beautifully created. I don't know whether it was Faustina Nelson who chaired the committee or Totobi Kwachi who chaired the committee, but the Mills Funeral Committee seemed to have done an excellent job. The funeral was super pristine. American Secretary of State Hillary Clinton was in attendance. Martin Newman spoke so well. It was a great event. John Mahama, the president, also spoke. Asomdwee Park looked beautiful. When did you discover that it's deteriorating?
You know, when President Mills died on, so talking about me and John Mahama, why he and his people always try to play the victim as if I have issues with them. Let me tell you, Paul. President Mills died on 24th July. 26th July in the morning, around 6 a.m., I got a call from Okujetua Blakwa. Not that we were that close, but he calls to say, oh, I'm just checking on you. Okay. Well, I accept it. 2-3 minutes later, I get a call from Omani Boama. Omani Boama and Blakwa at the time were two sides of the same coin. Omani was very frontal that, well, Sami called you and he couldn't tell you what he should have told you. But anyway, yesterday, so which means 25th, the man died. The day after, we had a meeting with the new president. And a decision has been taken. He says he cannot work with you.
Oh, wow.
Yes. This is Omani Boama, an MPP boy who came through CJA.
Yes, correct.
Yeah. Suddenly is calling me to tell me that the new president, of course, subsequently the new president collapsed information ministry, added the communication and gave to him. Today he's collapsed the IT, added it to election directorate and given to him. So Omani is his real right-hand man. So Omani says the president says that
he cannot work with you.
And that for obvious reasons he cannot work with you.
What were those obvious reasons?
He didn't state.
You should know.
And that, I don't know.
But he says it's obvious.
It wasn't obvious to me. And that by close of day, I'll be informed. So I should consider some 3 parastatals that I'll be shifted to as either deputy CEO or CEO. But as for the castle, I should forget it. I can't stay there any longer. That's how the conversation ended. Of course, at the end of that day, I didn't get a call. Three days later, I drove to Mr. Atuahoy. And this is the first time I'm mentioning his name at Westlands.
His home.
His home. I got the same information. Oh, Koku, you know, Prof is dead. And John says he cannot work with you. So are you going to go back to the bank?
Wow.
Yeah.
After that
after this number of years, go back to the bank. Uncle Atu, well, you know, this is what John is saying. Hey! Paul, when I left Uncle Atu's house that morning, and I didn't commit suicide, it is not in my DNA to come. Look, I couldn't believe it.
What did you tell Mercy?
The third one was Henry Martin Newman. Today I'm opening up.
Oh, the chief of staff.
Yes.
Your man.
Now,
your boss.
Between Atuahoy and Omani, this was even before the burial of President Mills.
Yes, the date you are mentioning.
Before the burial. Martin Newman's own was after the burial.
What did he say?
The same message. And this was in his official bungalow at Cantonments, Chief of Staff bungalow.
Yeah, where Chief of Staff.
So he asked to see me and I went. The same story that, well, his own started that, well, Sami, you leave. Believe, you leave for some 6 weeks. By the time you come back, we shall consider your political future. Mr. Newman, I've never said this story, but after 12 years, to the extent that you people continue to sit down and let John Mahama and his boys play the victim as if I'm the bad person, Mr. Newman, after 12 years, I'm mentioning your name. Uncle Atu, after 12 years, I'm mentioning your name. Because I will not allow them to play the victim any longer as if I'm the bad person. I have always been the victim. But for the sake of cohesion, I have kept quiet. But after 12 years, I will mention the names. Then the whole world know that the victim that John Mahama is playing is fake. I am the real victim. So Martin Newman tells me that John Mahama says that he cannot work with me, so I should leave the presidency. At that point, I said, well, Omani has told me, Uncle Atu has told me, Martin Newman, you are telling me, please go and tell the president that I'm not going on leave. And I'm not leaving the presidency because we have an election to win, and I have to protect the legacy of President Mills.
You were defying the new
I was,
president.
well, he hadn't spoken to me.
You can't do that.
Oh, listen, let me finish. So that's how I responded. I said, I'm not going anywhere. However, I'm a very regimented person. And you are a lawyer and an astute administrator. When President Mills wanted to appoint me, he got you to write to me officially.
So right.
So write.
And sack me.
And sack me. So that when I leave the presidency and I step out and anybody asks me, Koku, why have you left? Because the whole ploy that go on leave it was a ploy. Immediately you leave, they will say you have left. You don't like John Mahama. That's after the death of President Mills, you have left. Now there's something I haven't told you. The day President Mills died, Paul. By the time I returned from the 37, my father, General Ayidoho, was seated in my office at the castle.
What did he tell you?
He had come to look for a son.
For what?
Who he knew that would be traumatized because of the death of his political father. He came, gave me his ties to whip on. But when he finished, you know what he told me? Koku, the president is going to be sworn, the new president is going to be sworn in tonight. You are not allowed to stay away from the swearing in. You will go to that swearing in. So gather yourself as a man and go to the swearing in. I know what I'm telling you as a father. Don't stay away from the swearing in. Paul, I obeyed my father and didn't stay away from the swearing in. Everything we could do to support John Mahama to take over. But after he got sworn in, this is what I had to go through. So I told Martin to write.
Yeah, did he write?
Of course, that letter never. You know, you are doing this job and people are giving you some epithet, the bull. So people think that Tafla is a bull, Ujibo. So they can, corner you. So that's
So has the letter come till today?
The letter didn't come.
Till 2016?
It never came.
Why didn't you ask to see John Mahama himself?
As president?
Yeah, why didn't you ask Omani that, okay, I hear you, but I would like to talk to President Mahama?
I mean, my position was that to the extent that he himself hasn't told me anything. So me, I'll stay there and work. But of course.
You can't stay there and work.
So I stayed.
Okay.
And that is why after 2012 victory, they moved to the Flagstaff House. If you want to stay at the castle, stay there.
So you didn't go to the Flagstaff House?
Who was going to? I didn't even know they were going to move. I came to office one day. They had moved. So even as a remnant at the Flagstaff House, one afternoon, Valerie Sawyer sends me a message. About 3 p.m., the message came. I should make sure that by close of day, I pack out of the castle.
She as Deputy Chief of Staff?
I don't know what post she was holding at the Flagstaff House. But you, Valerie, it was because of your father. Otherwise, in the Koku Hill campaign itself, did you ever follow us on any campaign trail?
But that was her house.
Fine. So President Mills rewarded your father. And what people don't know, this Deputy Chief of Staff position, Paul, it is a certain Koku Ayidoho again.
Who created it?
When we won, and the president was, because Alex was the campaign coordinator, a lawyer. But he wasn't going to make Alex Chief of Staff because it's a huge administrative position. Yeah. He wasn't going to make Alex AG. He told me because Alex hasn't practiced his law deeply in Ghana. So if I make him AG, he will fail. Yeah. And I don't want him to fail. And I said, sir, but if he's a campaign coordinator, and it's more than likely that you'll do 8 years, does anything stop you from creating the office of Deputy Chief of Staff? So Alex will understudy Martin Newman. And if you create it, then because of, you are talking about Valerie also, they can operate from that angle. Oh God. Look, subsequently, Alex had a certain issue around the Woyomo case. I was the one who came to Alex's aid. He never stopped thanking me. So when today they use him to go and set up some amorphous heritage, Atta Mills heritage something, just to stampede me out of what I have been doing. Then let me come to Neil Ante Vanderpool. Why I will refer to him that way. In as much as we were all sons of the president. After we won, He thought he could take the law into his own hands. So the president goes on an official trip to China. Look, and President Mills was vetting his travel list. If you were not supposed to be on it, you won't be on it. Now, Paul, a lot of the jealousy that came around me was that I was a speechwriter. I was the image manager. I was the PR person. I was the one managing the press corps. So I had official duties to perform on those presidential trips. Neil Lante and the other people had no official trip. Sometimes they will go through state protocol, get their names on the list, but the president will vet, take off their list. So the thing became, why is Koku now become the beloved son?
Maybe they thought you were taking off the list, not the president.
They knew it wasn't me.
Okay.
So on this trip to China, the president, we are there in China. Then Neil Lante arrives with a huge business delegation. The president gets wind of it because chief of staff has called him to say, Neil Lante has left the presidency without any permission. Are you the one who gave him the permission? The president says no. Some of the businessmen are alleging that he collected money from them before he brought them to the trip. The president hears. And the president says, Koku, because of your relationship with me, I'm going to send you. Go and tell him how angry I am. He's not supposed to be here and he's here. If he doesn't get on the next plane back to Ghana, I will make sure the chief of staff dismisses him, and that will be at the end of his political career. Paul, so I have this unpleasant duty of having to go and meet my brother and friend and pass on this information. Fast forward, President Mills dies, and that's what Neil Lante uses to buy his way into the John Mahama camp. That don't mind Koku. All of us, he was ditching us to Mills. And so as for me, Mahama, I was not part of any anti. That's how wicked and evil Neil Lante is. And today he walks around saying that he held my hand into the NDC. I've just told you my story of Bema Camp.
Has he said that?
Oh, no. Oh, he says that he held my hands to Mills. Recently he says he brought me into the NDC. You, Neil Lante, you brought me into the NDC. So, Paul, all I've said tonight is that after 12 years, for the first time, 24th July this year, we saw the sun. People don't pay attention to it, but I pay attention because I now understand realms.
What is? I don't understand. The early morning?
No. Since 24th July, 2012, it has rained
every day.
Every 24th July.
Are you serious?
For 11 years.
Are you serious?
This year, the sun was up. Because the Otuam family of President Mills for the first time appeared at Asomdwee Park to remember him and celebrate him. The realms have changed. He is smiling. And people will see that there is a God who rules in the affairs of men on this earth.
How will they see it?
They will see it.
In December.
Samuel Atta Mills says that he will finish me spiritually, physically, and legally. I serve a living God. I serve a living God and a righteous God. And I'm saying today, this year, we saw the sun. If they don't understand it, I understand
Cadman said something, that the lady that was presented as Professor Mills' mother is 80, and Professor Mills would have been 80. Are they the same age?
That's up to them.
But where is this family from?
Good. All public records, Paul, have always stated that President Mills hailed from Ekumfi Otuam.
Yes, we all know that.
So, Fanti's accounts inherit matrilineally.
Correct.
No, be so.
Yeah.
We inherit patrilineally.
Yeah.
I went to Ekumfi Otuam a couple of times with President Mills as candidate and then even president. Ekumfi Otuam. Oh yeah, Amanzi Baku Ebimbi was a man. So I know Ekumfi Otuam. Of course. Other things maybe I don't know. But in 2012, so 2020, thank you. This story is very important. Good. So John, you were asking about Asomdwee Park. Good. So President Mills died. We bury him at Asomdwee. So this Cadman Mills on the screen.
Put it on the screen for people to see, please. You're on the touch screen. Let it come on the screen. Okay, they'll do that very soon. Yes.
So this is Cadman Atta Mills.
In the red?
In the suit.
Yeah, the suit's in the middle, yeah.
Now, that's Kofi Atta Mills.
In the cloth?
No, to the right of the guy in the cloth.
Okay.
The guy in the gold
blue
cloth.
shirt, the blue shirt, yeah.
these are the Kofi Ayidoho people. Oh. So me, I'm not in that picture. Oh.
Yes.
That's Cadman Mills. Now, the guy or the man in the gold cloth is called Eja Aqua. Production, can you now give me the Asomdwee Park picture? Good. Now, this is the same Eja Aqua.
Oh, yeah.
Now with me, 21st July 2024. That's just about a week ago.
Yeah, yeah.
So if this same Eja Aqua is in a picture with Cadman Mills and Atta Mills, and now it's in a picture with me, how then do you say that this group of people are illegal and are imposters? This is the story, Paul. This is the, how do you now say that an Eja Aqua, according to tradition, ono na otu nsogu mununudo and sana.
The coffin.
No, the dead body. What busha otu nsogu mununudo. According to tradition, before you can even bath and prepare the body for burial. This is Eja Aqua.
He did that.
So, who says that I'm dealing with some imposters? Now, so 2020, when Asomdwee Park, so John Mahama left in 2016, 2017. Asomdwee Park was a horrible state. Can we see Asomdwee Park at least?
Yeah, let's see some of it.
Let's see some of Asomdwee Park.
They have it.
Yeah. Let viewers see what Asomdwee Park look like. This is how the frontage look like.
Yeah.
Just very ordinary and
Let's move on.
And drab. Let's move on. This is how the tombstone look like bare. But you see another side of the tombstone. So this is how it was.
This is wretched.
Very extremely wretched. Now look at this, Paul. At a point in time, we were using cement blocks
To hold it.
to hold it. This is the
former president.
This is the covering that John Mahama left on the tombstone. This horrible covering.
For the former president.
For the former president, the man who made you running mate, whose death you benefited from by becoming president that night. You buried him, and this is how you left his tombstone. I will go there every year with my people, Clarissa, Adolf, Sami, and Co. Go and clean up the place and drape it in our green and white colors before we can even do 24. This is how it is. Then let's see how it looks like now, after I begged Anado to do it. So this is what it looks like now.
Oh, this is nice.
This is what I begged Anado to do. When he gave me the opportunity to meet him in 2020, Koku, the question was direct. Koku, what can I do for you?
That's what the president asked you.
The president asked Koku, what can I do for you? This is a blank check.
Blank check. You could have said anything.
Ask for V8 and Prado and diplomatic passport.
Position.
You understand?
Yeah.
And this was one-on-one in his office. And that was the first time I entered that Flagstaff House presidential office. Because under John Mahama, I never entered.
Okay.
And President Moses didn't use that place.
Yeah.
Because under John Mahama, I was declared a persona non grata at the Flagstaff House until Julius came in and allowed me some type of entry. Later on, our relationship got spoiled because he said he was compelled to get rid of me. Anyway, so when President Mahama Akufo-Addo, sorry, what can I do for you? I didn't ask for Prado. I didn't ask for V8. I didn't ask for money. I didn't ask for diplomatic passport. I didn't ask for appointment. I didn't ask for contract. I said, Your Excellency, I beg you, Asomdwee Park, can you build it for me and for the nation? This is 2020. 2 years from now will be 2022. We shall remember 10 years of the passing of President Mills, whether you like it or not. God being so good, you will still be president. But I remember President Mills used to tell me stories about you and him.
We heard that.
We've heard that several.
Yeah.
So that chair that you are sitting on, the man sat on it before. I beg you, I'm on my knees. Do Asomdwee Park, because in 2 years from now, when it's 10 years and we're remembering it and it's in that horrible state, when the dishonor comes to your seat, it will come to the Republic. Already I get calls from far and near because of my closeness with him. And he said, and I said, if you don't do it, the politics that we do in this country, the people who didn't do it will turn around and say, they did it, and you came to destroy it. That's when he stood up and said, Koku, consider it done. Consider it done, then he gave the Koda, Coastal Development Authority, not me. Koda did everything. Paul, this was 2020. When the sword was being cut, Kofi Atta Mills, the son of the president, was present when the sword was being cut. So when Cadman and Sami, brothers, and inheritance is not about brothers, it's about sonship. So Kofi was there, the son, the only child. So we cut the sword construction. Now, first for 2022, when now the thing is about to be commissioned. That's when they go and form this heritage movement. Quickly, overnight. Then Neil Lante and Samuel Atta Mills now go and hold a press conference. They look for all the rub, the koto rub, the akobam, alobam, or any painful substance put under their eyes and started weeping publicly that I have gone to dig up the grave and run away with the remains of President Mills. I've gone to give it to Akufo-Addo to go and perform rituals. Neil Lante, Van der Poel, and Samuel Atta Mills. That is what they did. Heinous crime, a heinous crime they've committed against me. All over the country and over the world. Koku, what have you done? Koku, what have you done? But the God who made Joseph prime minister when his brothers thought they were selling him stood up for me. So now the Otong family calls me and they summon me. Why did you go and dig up the remains of our son? And I explained to them in detail that, please, it was that horrible wooden covering that the contractor was removing to create the new thing that you are seeing. The man, Koku, from today, we miss our family staff and Rod. We will support and protect you to the very end. Now, what even made matters worse was that Cardinal had arrived in the country, rushed to Cape Coast in political suit, put some cloth around his waist, and said he's Ebusuapeni for something and Abin family. And the Otong people say, if you have gone to Cape Coast, we don't come from Cape Coast. Inti ezi Ebusuapeni a, ezi ni wo mami fi wo Cape Coast. President Muslim mami ofri Otong nasifri Asama.
Is Cadman and Mills on the same mother?
Oh!
Are they not the same mother?
That is where we are getting to now.
Is that correct?
That is the story now.
They are not the same mother?
That is the story we are hearing.
I don't understand.
That is the story we are hearing.
Is Samuel and Prof the same mother?
That is the story we are hearing.
What is the story we are
The
hearing?
story is that if you Cadman, Akozi Ebusuapeni, wo mami ni wo Cape Coast. What's the President Mills ofri Otong? Abazintina inche wo ye mami kroa. Ambezi Ebusuapeni wo Otong Ebusuam, Ekozi Ebusua, wo Cape Coast.
Is Professor Mills a twin?
No, it's not a twin. That time is a surname. So their fathers, all right. I mean, they are paternal siblings.
But not maternal.
Oh, that's what we are hearing now.
Then they are not relatives.
Thank you.
In
In a camp custom. That is what we are hearing. And I am not saying it. When you got up to stand up against me, he said, if it was not for you, God, the Lord, where would I be? When the enemies rose up against me. So it is God. This matter would not have been a matter. But you, Cadman, after Sami Atta Mills and Neil Lante used all the koto, alobam, akobam, ginger, pakoshito to put under their eyes and cry in this country that they are going to dig up the remains. When you, Cadman, came, you ran to Cape Coast. There, where Ebusuapeni was Cape Coast. Now these people are saying that, these Otong people. And so this year, they wrote Atta Mills Institute, Paul, after the commissioning of Asomdwee Park. And let me also add. So this Neil Lante Samibia group, can you believe that they actually made a representation to President Akufo-Addo not to come and commission the park?
Why?
After the man had built it,
Why?
that they have issues with me. And the president told them that he will commission the park. He came that Sunday in the company of his vice president, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, with service commanders in their uniform, police band. I brought in the Achimota School Choir because I'm an alma mater. President Mills himself was an alma mater. John Mahama was invited. He didn't show up.
Are you serious?
Yes!
At the committee of Asomdwee Park.
We had members of the diplomatic corps, other chiefs.
That's the story. NDC rejects invitation to inauguration of
Thank you.
renovated Asomdwee Park.
And Frima, Madam Frima Parry, chief of staff, at 3-4 meetings, insisted, Koku, we appreciate how you have championed this cause, but because it's a government project, the president insists, I insist that the former president and the NDC will be invited. I said, no problem. But they invited them, they didn't come. And since 2022, that's what they do. They won't come for any official thing. Then they wait. They come and filibust and make noise. And in Kwasini Ferry and Ejuaremo. If I were some of them, I would never set foot at Asomdwee Park. Yet they can go now, stand in it, and want to claim the glory. When they had no hand in the construction of that Asomdwee Park. Yet, I, Koku Ayidoho, the person who constructed it, I must be vilified. I will take no vilification any longer from this year. It's over. The nonsense has stopped. Just yesterday, my 8-year-old daughter, she died at 8. She would have been 12 yesterday, July 31st. She died, I get no sympathies. Nothing. One of John Mahama's boys, Difagunu, goes to write publicly that I deserve the death of my daughter. Because of my wickedness, I've been taking Mahama to shrines all over Ghana and across the world to kill him. But I've not been able to kill John Mahama, so I murdered my own daughter, Paul, to use her blood for rituals to eliminate John Mahama. Jesus Christ.
We apologize for him, I'm sure he was.
Look! And that's how wicked I am. I'm callous. I'm heartless. I didn't even go for the burial. I didn't go for the funeral. At that point, Paul, I stopped being a politician. I started being a father. Because I have 4 other children who are alive. I shall not be accused of murdering my own daughter because of politics. And that I want to murder John Mahama, so I've murdered my daughter. So the case is running in a Tema High Court.
Oh, so you sued?
Oh, why not? I need to clear my name. The Ayidoho whole name. My children. Because this thing called politics, that people want to just run people down. Not me and the Ayidoho family. Not my mother's side, the Chegan side. No, it won't happen again. It won't continue. And guess who is Jifagunu's lawyer? Edu Jitamakulu.
In the case?
In the case.
Defending him?
He's defending Edu Jitamakulu in court.
But they could have apologized and just...
Thank you! But Mahama will not tell them to come and apologize. So he sits pretty on it. Pretends he knows nothing about it. And he's the one. They do it in his name.
Is that why you hate John Mahama?
I don't hate him. I've never hated him. 2016, Asomdwee was nowhere to be found. I was Deputy General Secretary.
Yes.
In charge of operations. Comfortable leave press conference.
The comfortable leave press.
Good. I held a press conference because Julius Debra, Chief of Staff, had called me. That the president says they cannot find Asomdwee.
They cannot find him.
His phones were off.
General Secretary.
They couldn't find him. His phones were off. So Koku, as deputy in charge of operations, we can't find your boss. His phones are off. But Sadi Samia Wuku, Mark Menu and Co. Today, this 1 minute press conference, another minute press conference. The president says you should do something. Paul, hence the comfortable lead press conference. I went to my team. We gathered some figures. That's why I was very measured in that press conference, and I only said, and I was very frank, that parliamentary didn't look good. But presidential, per what we have gathered, John Mahama is in a comfortable lead. I didn't say Atta Mills is in a comfortable lead. I said John Mahama is in a comfortable lead. The next morning, BBC, Deutsche Welle, a few international came to my office that they want to be sure about what I'm saying, because these figures, I said, Master, I have the statistics and I have put it out. I have not declared results. I don't owe you an explanation. They left. Later on that day, 2, 3 of my aides come and call me and say, I should come and watch television. This is John Mahama, President, Commander-in-Chief, flag bearer of the NDC, at his official residence, now flanked by the lost Asomdwee
to concede defeat.
To concede defeat. Asomdwee was in a green and white batakari with a black baseball cap. He had turned the baseball cap, the front to the back. What was and a broad grin on his face. And John Mahama conceded defeat. Paul, do you know they never called me at the headquarters to tell me that they were going to do that? The height of treachery and betrayal. The height, the zenith.
What about Pakwesi himself? He was alive then. He was vice president.
He was vice president. A vice president who didn't have, you, John, you had a secretariat with official mouthpiece. Did you ever hear that Pakwesi himself had a spokesperson?
Didn't he have Mr. Boadu?
Who was as vocal as the others used to be? So, Paul, I said the height of treachery. They betrayed me. They left me in the battlefront. So MPP thought that I was the only person who didn't want Nanado to become president. Fast forward, that's why in 2018, that innocuous interview, they said I was going to stage a coup. I was picked up like Osama bin Laden. I mean, sent to CID headquarters, They went to my house with motorcade, went and searched my house. Then they decided they won't grant me bail, put me in the BNI. For when I was driving here this evening, I drove past
But
the
it was
police.
John Mahama who came to get you out.
Beautiful story. It wasn't John Mahama who got me out. Now, John Mahama was going to contest with Bagbin, Alabi, Spio, Sylvester Mensah, and some other people. Spio had come to visit. He didn't take pictures. Bagbin came to the BNI cells. He didn't take pictures. Alabi came, didn't take pictures. Sylvester Mensah came, didn't take pictures. When John Mahama had to come because his competitors had come to visit the sitting general secretary of the party. If he didn't come from wherever he was to also come and show some form of empathy, it would go against him. So he came to use me. So when the others came genuinely and didn't take pictures, he came for politics. So he took pictures and they circulated and they say that he got me out. The law got me out. After 48 hours, the law got me out. And because I was
John
not...
Mahama came with a high power delegation
Which
from Attorney General Betty Modridris, which was necessary for that process.
At the outset, the crowd that came there, is that more high-powered than the people he came to?
No, the crowd was massive.
Thank you. So people had done the spade work. You only came to take the glory. People had done the spade work, including my own father and my own maternal uncle, Ambassador Chega, who woke up that morning and came. So where did you take me out of the cell? Now, because I wasn't tortured, I wasn't manhandled. Mamiya Tiwa, who was then CID boss, her officers, Apentine and others, very professional.
You said so.
Yes. So when I got out, now, interestingly, it was a Holy Thursday. So
You went to church.
no. So they picked me up Tuesday, and Holy Thursday they released me on bail, of course. Tiwa decided that because it's Holy Thursday around 4:35, we're not going to just release you into the crowd like that. Anything could happen to you. So she will risk it and make a police motorcade take me back home. So I was taken home by police motorcade. When I got there, it was a Joy FM reporter, live camera, live television. I think it was Krachi Afre, Nyama or somebody. And I wasn't tortured. Why should I say I was tortured? Just because, Paul, I said I wasn't tortured and I wasn't maltreated. That was the beginning of the heaviness of my woes. That I'm a traitor.
You are praising NPP.
Yeah, I'm praising NPP. I should have come out insulting Anado. My quiet moments in solitary confinement, the only thing close to me was a Bible, a dilapidated Bible. In fact, being in solitary confinement is not good. If you go there, you see what people have written on the wall. Master, there were quiet moments and very reflective moments for me.
So you're not going to come out.
I wasn't going to come out. No.
Lies and all that.
If Tiwa didn't misconduct herself and maltreat me, why should I come and say she did?
So right now, and we are wrapping up.
Yep.
Right now, are you a member of the NDC?
I am.
Do you support the NDC?
And I support the NDC. And I'm worried. I'm worried because of the statistics. I gave the producer, if you can give us just you did your table already, but I gave him some table. If you can just give us what the NDC is looking like, and which is my worry. You have done your own, but if your producer can give you, I gave you some table.
He'll do it.
Yes.
Apreko, don't sleep. Oh, please put it there. It's past midnight.
Yes.
I'll finish very soon.
That is my worry. My worry is that the NDC is atrophied. If you go to even the northern region, you started with northern region. So this is Savannah region in focus.
Yeah.
Those 2012 figures are President Nelson's figures.
Yes.
16 and 20 are John Mahama's figures. So 2012, we are doing 63.2% in Savannah. 2016, we dropped to 61.5. 2020, we have dropped to 55.8. So while we are dropping by some mathematically 7.6, MPP is
Gradually
gaining
plus 8.
8 plus.
That's Savannah.
This is Savannah. Let's look at
Another one.
Central. Then we look at Volta. Then we look at Northern. And then Bole Bangboy, his own, what he was happening to him in Bole Bangboy. So for me, I'm looking at figures. I'm crunching numbers. I'm looking at statistics.
What are the figures telling you?
And I'm worried. We are dropping numbers. And they don't want the party people to know the truth. Because if they know the truth, they will come after their leaders. So the leaders are... So this is the history of Mahama's performance in Bole Bangboy. He started off... So this is it. In 96, we were doing 81.9%. 2000, 67.7%. Then this is 2004, 61%. This is what John Mahama did from 96 to 2004. Paul.
Yeah.
So this is how he was dropping. That is why by 2004 we heard that he said he was leaving politics and he was going to do a PhD. So if you are going to leave politics and President Mills salvaged your political career by making you running mate, so you became vice president and president, why would you honor the man's memory? The man is dead and gone. He's not fighting with you by name. Just honor his memory. You go and now create a green book. Monday we were at UAS. I was invited because I still go to UAS. Yeah. I pay attention to them. You go and create a green book, a project like UAS. You put it in a green book. It wasn't your project. UGMC, University of Ghana Medical Center. It's not your project. Ridge Hospital.
But it's an NDC project.
But they put it in a green book and they actually say it is Mahama's project. Why? And I've said severally that my legacy.
So
let's look at Central Region in focus.
Last one.
The last one, Central Region in focus.
Central Region in focus. Very last one. Yes. What's happening here? Tell us.
Good. Very interesting. Then we look at Volta 2. Then before we close, then the Volta will be the last one. But this 2016, NDC won 4 parliamentary seats. That's when we were losing badly in 2016. When JM lost by over 1 million votes. And then JDM also won in 4 constituencies. 2020, when the NDC was moving up its parliamentary seats to 13, John Mahama remained static and won in only 4 constituencies.
13 to 4 is very significant.
I'm telling you. So the party is...
And this 2020,
yes,
the last election.
That's what I'm saying. So
John Mahama won only 4 constituencies.
Yeah, while we won... So this is evidence of the skirt and blouse.
No, this is major.
That why people were voting for the MPs, they were not voting for John Mahama.
That's true.
And they say we shouldn't say this. So you ask me, do I love the NDC?
No,
I love the NDC.
Look into it. Why is it happening?
So let's look into it. They say no, don't look into it. Just accept it. And please.
I remember when the election 2020 ended, Akufo-Addo was quite upset with Parliament. He said, "You're for you are senior."
Then the last one is Volta.
Go and look into
so let's look at Volta. Then
Volta, last one.
The last one, yes. Now look at NDC Volta 2012. This is still the Mills death and the Mills hard work. We are doing 91%. MPP is
2016.
2016 we are doing 87. MPP has moved to 10. 2020 we've dropped to 84. MPP has grown to 14%. So they are climbing up the ladder. They may not win seats, but they are picking up presidential votes. And that's what they need in the Volta region, not the seats.
Yeah, the presidential votes.
All we say, you say we shouldn't say it. You are anti-JM.
So are you voting for JM on 7 December?
My vote is my secret. Now this is my book. You can find it on Amazon.
Yes, where is the book?
This is it.
Amazon, and then where in Ghana?
In Ghana, I mean, today I
hope
said...
this is my copy though.
Yes, this is your copy.
Perfect.
I'll autograph it for you.
Okay.
Uncompromising Thoughts, you can find it on Amazon and Kindle books online. Ghana here, Challenge Bookshop has it. Tomorrow I should be working on Legon Bookshop, my alma mater, and then add other outlets to it. But it's out, and hey, it's a very interesting book.
Hold on. So
yes,
she's voting for NDC, MPP is voting for CPP, is voting for MPP. Who are you voting?
I'm voting for the betterment of the Republic of Ghana.
We know the candidates, Mahamudu Bawumia and
yes.
Mahama.
My conscience shall lead me to the polls on.
You haven't decided yet.
I haven't decided.
You wish that NDC should win.
If they get their act together, why not?
They. You're calling them they.
Well, they this level of ostracization, where they ostracize everybody who wants to tell the truth. And I've told people, Paul, people have asked me that, oh, if you are called at this last minute, I say, I'm a worker, I'm not a magician. President Mills called me, gave me 3 years to work him into office. So I work, I don't perform magic. If you call me at this last minute and I get close to you, I can't perform magic. I needed time to work, you didn't give it to me. Then again,
are you touches any of those?
No.
But Alex Segbefia.
They say I want to kill John. So you are better off staying away.
Why do you threaten that you kill him? Why did they say that?
I don't know. That's how they feed their ego.
Thank you so much.